Now, the NYS is once again in the eye of the storm, with Public Service and Youth Affairs Principal Secretary Lilian Omolo and the NYS Director General Richard Dubai amongst those who have recorded statements with authorities over the alleged loss of about 8 billion shillings. A multi-agency team is investigating circumstances under which companies were paid huge sums of money for work they did not do, while the deserving suppliers were sidelined. Now, the Principal Secretary disputes this figure, which she attributes to NIS boss Philip Kameru, saying the contentious vouchers only amount to 121 million shillings and not the alleged 8 billion. Tonight, on The Big Question, we are asking you, can NYS still fulfill its mandate in spite of the graft allegations bedeviling it? Text us on 22422. Twitter is the hashtag The Big Question. In studio now, Public Accounts Committee Chair of the National Assembly, Opiyo Wandayi, is also the MP of Gunja. A former chair of the same committee, both in the Senate and the National Assembly, Boni Khalwale, former Senator, Kakamega County, and Alex Awiti is a public policy analyst. Thank you all for making time for us tonight. I'll start with you, Boni. First, what do you make of what is happening?
I recall that when the first attempt was made to increase the budget for NYS, I was serving as senator. And Senator Mutula Kilonzo and I, when the matter came up, we moved unsuccessfully to persuade the House so that 25 billion shillings would not be set aside for NYS, intended for projects that under the Constitution are under the mandate of county governments. That's where the problem started. So here, since I'm here, allow me to use names.
Yeah.
Anwai Guru, all of a sudden, found ourselves with 25 billion shillings for projects that the Ministry of Devolution was ill prepared to implement, and therefore, as they say in Nigeria, the rain started beating us.
That was then.
Yes.
I'm talking about what happened now. Anwar Guru and the issues of the 791 million shillings were investigated.
Yes.
They were cleared
Yes.
with the EACC. Now we have a fresh allegation.
Yes. On the
of 8 billion shillings. Of course, the Principal Secretary, who also has been questioned,
Yes.
has disputed this figure.
Yes. What is surprising about the current allegation is not the veracity, but the response from Lilian, the Principal Secretary. She said that, as a matter of fact, it is not the 8 billion that they are talking about. It is just a mere 900 million shillings. So when you have an officer
that is being questioned,
who looks at 900 as the loss of 900 as being just a mere 900, it shows the scale of corruption in the country today.
Alex?
Hussein, I think this is really disappointing, and especially when the president has basically said there's no easy shilling. It seems to me that the time it takes, and Mr. Kinoti did suggest that this has been an investigation that has been going on for about 8 months. I tend to suspect that there is such a thing as the easy billion shillings, but there is such a thing as no easy small change. Because I think this is really shameful. And Mr. Kiraitu Murungi, actually the governor of Meru, was today talking about how he's going to spend 10 billion shillings for his county. This is money that can run an entire county for a year. We are not talking about small money here. And I think what is extremely disappointing is the pace, the snail pace, around that attends everything that pertains to this case. I think we have the machinery, we have all the government agencies. We should be at the bottom of this issue at this point in time, and there should be no question of Lilian Omolo basically saying it's 900 million and 121 million. There should be no dispute. We should now have nailed the figure, and the government should be reading from the same script, and Mr. Kenyatta should have basically started getting heads rolling now.
Not necessarily, but I'll come to that. Not necessarily waiting for this.
Absolutely. Why should he? He's the hero, he's the boss. He should be pissed. Where is the outrage and the action?
I'll come to that. Opiyo Wandayi, of course, as a PSC chair, you've already summoned or called the Health Cabinet Secretary. Of course, she was there when this thing started. I mean, this is a fresh scandal of about since 2016. So you have called her. I don't know who else you've called. What exactly do you want to do?
But before I even get there, Hussein, you know, I've been around. And I was in the 11th Parliament when that budget was increased in the manner Boni has described. And I was also in that parliament when the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the special audit on the NYS was tabled. And the answer can bear me out, because I made very serious comments concerning this matter. Hussein, this is impunity in its true sense. This is impunity because what has happened in the NYS is a case of people having gotten used to the fact that people can steal money and get scot-free. What happened in the first instance, the first scandal, if I may call it so, is that those who actually were the masterminds, the real masterminds of that scandal, were left to go scot-free. So the small fish who were sacrificed, later on, of course, were acquitted through the court process. Okay? Therefore, it emboldened others. It emboldened others to continue with the looting. And in fact, it confirms the fears I had earlier on, that this NYS scheme was properly designed, was actually designed to ensure that public funds are siphoned out.
So the new people you're talking about came in to sort out the mess in NYS. Now what is actually being investigated is, I don't know, 10 times more than what was...
Let me tell you, Hussein, and I've always maintained this, that there is no theft of such a magnitude that can happen in this country without the National Intelligence Service getting to know of it. I'm happy that this time around it is the NIS which is being alleged to have sounded the alarm.
Yeah, in a leaked memo.
It confirms to you that all along they have been in the know of these thefts. And therefore, if the NIS is aware, the president is obviously aware. And therefore, if you want to demonstrate the political will to deal with the corruption squarely and head-on, then you take a political action, even before these so-called investigations commence. What I would have expected to have happened by now is that these officers who are in charge when this scandal happened, this latest scandal happened, should have been sent home, because they cannot be investigated while they continue sitting in office. Yes.
Does it point then to impunity by individuals?
The system.
Or the system?
System.
Or people are just not afraid of the consequences?
Yeah, yeah.
What is it exactly?
Yeah.
Or who do you blame? The government? Who do you blame?
I think I'm lucky that we are on this panel with the sitting chairman of public accounts. With all due respect, my brother, I know you know how to do your job, but on this one, you are missing it by a mile. Why are you calling these people for investigations? You can only call them for investigations if you do not have facts, if you do not have evidence. Already, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, and even the National Intelligence Service has already brought facts. So what you should be doing is be telling Kenyans this evening that you have drafted a motion that you will move in the House tomorrow morning, a motion of censure for these criminals to leave office. Now, when you tell us that you are expecting the president to do, the president is part of the executive. So play your oversight role by ensuring that these people are censored. Then Kenyans will say, we have a working parliament. And do you know why MPs are not doing this? It is because in the old scam, probably it is true about this second one, members of parliament were also beneficiaries. They had companies that were doing work, including, as you saw in the media, the current leader of the majority in the Senate. He was alleged to have partaken of that money. So it is serious.
That cannot go unchallenged, you know. I'm surprised that my friend and brother, Boni Halwale, has forgotten so fast how Parliament operates. And I think his staying out of Parliament is really having a toll on him. Because, Boni, you know clearly well that Parliament is guided by the standing orders. The committee that I chair, which is the Public Accounts Committee, does not operate in a vacuum. Indeed, as a matter of fact, Public Accounts Committee only acts on the basis of a report by the Auditor General. In fact, what I have done, if you do not know, is that I have summoned the officers who are responsible for the NYS in regard to the accounts of the 2015-2016 financial year. They'll be coming on Monday next week. And that is the period around which these issues are alleged to have happened. Now, if it so happens that some of those issues happened after that financial year, then I will have then the mandate, the reason, to direct the Auditor General to carry out a special audit. Parliament does not operate on the basis of rumors or innuendo or street gossip, Boni. I must remind you. Yeah. And he must also be aware that in my record as a parliamentarian, I've been very clear on these matters. And I'm happy and lucky that now I chair a very crucial committee. And come next week, we'll see what I'll be doing.
Okay.
Yes.
There is something in the Constitution, Honorable, called Article 35.
Yes.
Which provides, as you know, that every citizen has a right to access to information with the state or a state organ. So as a parliamentarian who is supposed to discharge oversight, you are directed by Article 35 so that you go to ESCC, which, for your information, did an audit. And in that audit, they have established clearly that there were flaws which included the issue of companies being given multiple tenders. B, conflict of interest. 3, administrative failures whereby IFMIS was being abused. You do not have to wait for the report of the Auditor General for you to stand and say, Mr. Speaker, sir, could the Minister explain?
Boni, that is something that any member would have could do. No, it doesn't have to be Public Accounts Committee. What I am telling you, Boni, in the manner we manage committees of the House is prescribed in the standing orders. And I can tell you, Hussein, that my committee is seized of the matter.
Although you're already saying that those that have been questioned should be out of office right now.
Well, that mandate and power is with somebody else, not us. Yes.
But you have said that.
We have said that clearly. Yes.
And these are some of the people that will come before you.
And we can summon any person, whether they are in office or out of office.
Okay.
And from next week, we shall be dealing this matter squarely and head on here.
You also said, I mean, there's no need, I mean, whether investigations are going on or not, these people should actually be out of office.
Exactly.
And you pointed out to the lack of outrage or enough outrage in the country, because this didn't happen just the other day. The investigations have been going on. Does it shock you that there hasn't been outrage in the country, both from government and all the other quarters?
The public.
And the opposition, if we have the opposition right now.
The public is outraged. You can see all the traffic on social media and conversations that are happening on radio and on TV as well. I think where we haven't seen royal outrage is from Mr. President himself.
And
I think he has to take political responsibility. He is the head of government. You know, as they say, Caesar's wife should be without any blemish. This is Caesar's wife. Now, the president should take charge. He should send these people home, because in his State of the Union address, he said there will be no easy shilling, and he has also said that this will be business unusual. But I'm sorry, Mr. President, this is business as usual, because these individuals are sitting, they're banding questions back and forth, and they're basically saying it's mere 900 million. The former CS is basically saying she has nothing to do with it. We're getting all this back and forth from his government. And this is, the optics is terrible, because it means that the president is not in charge. He should just crack the whip now and say, out of office, let the law take its course, but you're not going to be in my government.
And in fact, again, you know, Hussein, for the short time I've been in the Public Accounts Committee, really what's happening in the NYS doesn't look to be an isolation. Yes, it's not isolated the case. It's only that it has come to the public knowledge. I mean, these people continue to loot left, right, and center. It's only that the form and manner of looting continues to change based on circumstances. And they are so wired in a manner that even if you took them to court tomorrow, they would be acquitted.
No, you haven't talked about it.
They would be acquitted.
You haven't talked about
it. Well, I'm telling you, because I haven't delivered, I haven't tabled a report.
Right.
Yes, we'll see when my report.
So how will yours be different then if you're saying ultimately they'll be acquitted? How will
what we need, and that's what I maintain. Because for us, it's about political accountability. The issues of criminal accountability is with the courts, the judicial system. It's, for us, it's political accountability. And this is where the president comes in. He's the appointing authority. Because this information is with the national intelligence. And this information needs to be acted upon in a political manner, even as you await those in so-called investigations. Yes. Well, I can see Boni is obviously missing parliament. But I can tell you, Parliament is a bureaucratic institution. I was the first person, if you can recall, Hussein, who made Anwar Guru to be summoned before the committee of her house, the session that was actually disrupted by strangers. So I know how Parliament works. But if you are to rely on Parliament as the only institution to deal with this matter, then we shall miss it. This is a matter that needs to be dealt with from all fronts. Yes.
You know, for the sake of the viewers, they better know that the chairman of public accounts, nothing stops him tomorrow morning to rise on an adjournment motion.
Parliament is on recess, Bonnie.
Oh, I thought
you need to know that. You know, you are so much.
It doesn't necessarily mean tomorrow.
Tomorrow, as in parliamentary language.
No.
Nothing stops you from rising on an adjournment motion to discuss a matter of grave national importance. It doesn't stop him. So what you are saying, and I'm glad that my brother has referred to the issue of standing orders. It is again the wisdom of those standing orders, which said the chairman of public accounts must be from the opposition. From the time ODM, led by their leader, joined government, now they are confused. They don't know whether they should come out aggressively or they should do ABCT. This is the problem.
Now you see the problem, Hussein, when you bring somebody who has got sour grapes to a serious matter such as this one.
This is very serious.
You lose focus. Because the focus here is on the corruption, the theft which is going on.
Okay, but
if you start talking about who is in the opposition, who is in the government,
right,
well, you know extremely well.
All right,
that
but
in the
why are you dragging your feet?
I asked that question before because you also come from a political party that said they will fight corruption.
Yes.
And we are fighting it.
So my question is, and I'm asking you, all of you now, do you think the handshake has had a negative effect in terms of people calling out corruption as they see it? For example, with what is happening, and maybe the lack of public outrage, as you're saying.
You know, Hussein, the authors of the handshake, the venerable two leaders, were very clear in their communique to the public on the 9th of March. Nowhere in that statement that they issued was there talk of now people going slow on matters of corruption. And it has also been demonstrated that even since then, we have continued to point out issues that are going against the will of the people, including corruption. For once, where I sit as the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, I continue to prosecute these matters in a manner that actually the public should appreciate. But more importantly, Hussein.
For the party.
More importantly, Hussein.
For the party. That's my question was, the party has not addressed this.
The party continues to address, and in fact, even
history shows us the party, ODM, the last 5 years, for example, was very keen when such things happen. They would address immediately. Even
yesterday, my party Secretary General, Mr. Edwin Sifuna, issued a very strongly worded statement castigating the theft at NYS. What else do we expect from a party to do? And our party members in the House, including myself, as a very key member, continue to fight corruption in all its forms. The fact that we are in the House on the side of the minority gives us the mandate to be at the forefront in terms of oversighting the executive. And that's a role we are playing very, very effectively, regardless of the handshake.
Bonnie Khalwale, we've not had much from you either outside. We've had from you tonight. You are now saying you're in opposition.
In fact, this is the second time that I'm appearing to the public live on this matter, and I'm very satisfied that I'm doing what I should do. The fact that I'm out of Parliament notwithstanding. But more importantly, you asked the question of the effect of the handshake.
Yes, whether it has had an effect on this.
It has had a negative effect because it has brought confusion. Ordinarily, what should have happened is that the positions of oversight committee, leadership of oversight committees, public accounts, public investment, should have been surrendered by ODM to Wiper, Fort Kenya, and ANC after ODM chose voluntarily to go and work with Jubilee. So it is that confusion that is making young Wandai, being a new politician, in a state of dilemma. He doesn't know whether to follow the truth or wait and see what the boss is saying.
You know, again, I must challenge that. You know, Bonnie, firstly, I am not new legislator. I'm serving my second term. By all accounts, that is not something which is easy. But more importantly, Bonnie, it must be understood very clearly. The members you talked about, the parties you talked about, Wiper, for the Kenya and what have you, they have got members in the House. And even the issue just raised up a while ago about members standing on a point of order and seeking adjournment of the House. They could as well do it. Why haven't they done it? While they are actually in the position as you claim. The fact of the matter is that ODM, which is a leading partner in the NASA coalition, continues to play a key role as a minority party in the House. All the things are side issues.
Let me hear from Alex.
I think what it does, Hussein, is it does muddy the waters a little bit. And I think it puts a necessary restraint on Mr. Raila Odinga and his legislators, because you want to be seen to be reading from the same script as the president. Given this kind of newfound bromance. And what it does then, it gives cover and comfort to some of these people, because then the robust outrage that would have come from Mr. Raila now is not there. If you remember what happened during Waiguru's time, by now everybody was asking Waiguru to leave.
The last 1 month or so, the investigations have been going on.
So we should have been baying for Kobi's blood. We should have been baying for Lilian Omolo's blood. The general secretary, the leader of Dubai should be going out now. I think what it basically does, I think it resets that oversight role of the opposition and casts it more as an organization that tends to take the cue from the leadership of what is quickly emerging as a coalition between ODM and Jubilee. I don't know what else you can call that.
But Alex, if you say that, if actually argue like that, Raila, because he has entered into a partnership, or he has shaken Uhuru's hands, it means that the opposition has lost its voice. But then what happens? What has happened to the other members, the other partners within the NASA coalition?
But I think it's the victim.
Those who have been vilifying Raila for
well, maybe they're also waiting for their time to shake hands.
That's why I asked Boni Khalwale. That's why I asked Boni Khalwale, and he said this is his second.
Why can't we hear Boni?
But we haven't heard from your respective parties as well talking about these issues. You're castigating when I talk about this, but your party has not been talking about this.
You know, we cannot reduce ourselves to equating opposition with Raila. Raila cannot be equated to opposition, and vice versa, really. Yeah.
One day you should relax. The truth is, you know, that there was a fight in the National Assembly, an attempt, especially by Wiper members of Parliament, to ask you to leave those positions so that they could discharge. So now, you want to have the best of both worlds. You think you are doing very well with Jubilee in government, and at the same time you still want to retain your positions in the opposition. It makes it difficult for any other member other than you to come in the office. The office of the clerk will not serve him, as you know. So you would do well to resign from that position so as to pave way for the other members to also prove whether they can do as good a job as the one you have been doing.
I hear you. But Hussein, just before you come in, remember in the last parliament, the 11th parliament, I was actually a member of parliament, and I did not chair any committee. That did not stop me from playing my role as an oversight effectively. In fact, I did it so well, Boni, until I became a victim.
Right. So,
so I don't know why. Yes, you don't need positions to play an oversight role.
Gentlemen, finally the investigations are going on. We've had people who have recorded statements, including Lilian Omolo, who's the principal secretary right now, and also Richard Dubai, who's the Director General NYS. Of course, they both dispute that. Lilian Omolo, you've had disputing that and saying the figures that are in quotation about 121 million shillings. Either way, from where you stand now, what do you expect to happen? What do you think should be the way forward in handling this matter?
Okay. Firstly, I am happy if it is true that the NYS did bring out this matter to the attention of the president. I'm just reading about Jamur Shua.
This is from a leaked memo in which Lilian Omolo was responding, and she actually attributed that figure of 8 billion and that information to the NIS boss.
Correct. So if that is the case, the first thing that should have happened, or should happen even tomorrow, is that all these officers whose names have been mentioned need to pave way. We need to have the DCI and the EACC and whoever is involved, the DPP's office, expedite the process of concluding these so-called investigations and arraign those who are found culpable before a court of law. Meanwhile, Parliament is going to fast-track this process through my committee. And I can assure you, when we come back from recess in the first week of June, I'll be tabling a report. And my report will be balanced, will be objective, as you know, saying, me, I go about my business without fear or favor. And my committee members are very supportive in this respect. Yeah.
Okay, Bonnie.
President Kenyatta is a political, ideological, and maybe even spiritual orphan of retired President Moi. If he's the same person I'm describing, then he should surely go and refer to the file of how Moi used to do it. This is the kind of stuff Moi would have sorted it out at 1 p.m. this afternoon. We need that President Uhuru takes charge, the buck stops at his doorstep. He should sack these people. He doesn't have to apologize to anybody.
And wait for investigations.
Correct, yeah.
No, the president doesn't have to wait for investigations. That's one. On the other side, Cicely Kariuki, she should resign because she was taken there specifically to prevent what had then been the pilferage that was attributed to Anne Waiguru. Now that she has done worse than Anne Waiguru, we are expecting that tomorrow morning she will actually quit her job.
Again, for the record, it was the, you have said you're already calling Cicely Kariuki. She hasn't talked about this yet.
Actually.
Lillian, that's a statement read from PSA. Lillian Omolo has disputed those figures. The other 791 million or more that was said to have been stolen at NYS, there were investigations. Anne Waiguru was cleared. Later on, as he says, we had the clearance also of Peter Mangiti and some others. There's some cases going on in court.
I think the president should be extremely upset right now because this is the second time around. And when he read his State of the Union address, he said that we have recovered 500 million shillings. And there were civil proceedings instituted to recover 6 billion in assets. This is a drop in the ocean against the vast fortunes of public resources that have been plundered by people in his administration who have been hired by him. We had the 5 billion shillings that came out of the health ministry, and that just went quiet. Now, I think what the president should also understand is that everybody who was named in the first scandal of NYS is basically walking on the streets today. What confidence does he have that even if this went through all the bureaucratic structures of investigation, given the incompetence of our security apparatus, and the fact that they will present cases that are half-baked, half-investigated, and criminals will walk, why can't he put pressure on every agency that is charged with anything to do with investigation, prosecution, and all of the other oversight, including the Office of the Auditor General, plus the Registrar of Companies, to basically give him, he should take charge of this investigation himself. Because I think Mr. Kenyatta is staring at a very grim legacy when it comes to corruption. He has now topped Kibaki, he has topped Moi, in terms of how much money we have hemorrhaged by individuals appointed by the president himself, who are supposed to work for the people, and who take, in addition to their salaries, huge amounts of public money, which he calls easy shillings. Now, there should be no easy shilling, and there should be no easy billions of shillings. And I think the buck stops, in my view, with Mr. President.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for making time for us tonight, because this is something that is in the public domain. We're still waiting to hear what will come out of the investigations. There'll be another investigation launched by Opio Andai, who's the chair of the National Assembly's Public Accounts Committee. We were asking our viewers tonight, can NYS still fulfill its mandate in spite of the graft allegations bedeviling that institution? Look at that, 17% only say yes, 83% say no. Of course, it's a Twitter poll, but those are the figures.
Not scientific.
As it is, so not scientific, it's a Twitter poll. That's, of course, important to mention. Let's take a look at your feedback now. Right, we'll start with what you're saying on Twitter. Kimos Kiarie says NYS was and is still a brilliant project, only and only if the looting stops. Can't read that name, but you say, okay, the priority should be to fast track the prosecution of these NYS type crimes under the anti-money laundering laws so as to ensure the proceeds of crimes are recovered from the culprits.
Long time.
Right, Lina Skipsiye Sang says, yes, the government just needs to eliminate corruption by ensuring that those involved are brought to book. Okay, against Alan Tuwei, NYS is a wolf wearing a sheep's wool. It is good on visual but cancerous in its activities. Cancerous in its activities. Government should tame this wolf, otherwise Kenyans will be eaten. Okay, strong words there. SMS platform 22422. This is what you say, Rob from Eldoret. NYS cannot fulfill its mandate on activities because it's made up of scrupulous individuals who want to enrich themselves. Our children at NYS are always asking for pocket money because they are not provided with meals. Where are we heading to as a country? Jomo Jijin Mukurweni, oh yes it can, he says, given that there is goodwill from the government. Unfortunately, it appears the insatiable appetite for the loot is superseding the president's passion, and it is the high time for him to crack the whip, you say, period. And Francis Maimba Kericho, no way at this rate NYS is just a name, a haven for looters and achieving nothing. Well, thank you so much for your feedback. Really appreciate that. Of course, we can't read all your feedback as always. We do a sample, but we thank you nonetheless for your feedback. And we thank our guest tonight. Alex Awiti is the director of East Africa Institute at Aga Khan University, also a public policy expert. Boni Khalwale, former Senator Kakamega, former chair of PAC in both the Senate and the National Assembly, and the current chair of PAC, who has a lot of work for him now. That is Opio Ndai, also MP Ugunja. Thank you all for making time for us tonight. Thank you for watching The Big Question. I'm Hussein Mohammed. Have a good night.